Bitfarms, which is one of our largest holdings, they recently came out with their November production report. So they achieved 12.8 exahash operational, and they announced a miner upgrade. So they're upgrading the machines from the T21s to the S21 Pros. And they also appointed a new independent director, Andrew Chang. And then they also secured a 950 megawatt portfolio for 2025, but it's not all operational yet. And they also provided this update where their total BTC earned during November was 204. So it did go down a little compared to October, which was 236. So yeah, basically that's the update. I just wanted to kind of get your thoughts on it. We usually do this every week, or not every week, every month when they push out these updates. I'm going to pass it off to you, Tristan, to give it a letter grade and then say what you think about it.
So in terms of like actual update, the actual results of the update are kind of they're very meh. But the big problem is the placement of the promise that was made to us, months ago when Bitfarms announced that it was going to be reaching 21 exahash this year. And the simple fact of the matter is that they are not going to be able to reach that in the time frame that they had informed us that they were planning to, or were going to be targeting that. So from like an operations perspective, their operational update is kind of just like it doesn't really, it's not particularly terrible. It's not very great. I think without the context of their promise, I feel like this would be like a B. But with the fact that they've now basically admitted that they overpromised and are going to under-deliver, we're basically looking at this being like a C at best, probably like a C minus, because like it's now basically gone from the point of where we were kind of looking at Bitfarms going, okay, they just need to install a lot of exahash towards the end of the year, to there's no way in hell they're going to even get close to their actual target. And so I feel like at this point we're like their monthly results are kind of just not very impressive. They're not terrible, they're not very impressive, but like more importantly, the simple fact of the matter is that they're nowhere near the target that they said that they would reach this time frame. And the big issue with that isn't so much that Bitfarms has been not doing a particularly good job at deploying the exahash. It's actually more so the comparable Bitcoin miners, because this is an industry where the different miners are fairly similar. They have a lot of similarities. It's all the same sort of machinery. It's all the same sort of deals. There's a lot of alternative miners that you can invest in over Bitfarms. So when you're in a space like this and you're over promising and then under delivering, the result is that and there's so many other examples of other companies showcasing how they may have promised big, but they are performing. So for example, like Iron has successfully hit, if I recall correctly, they hit 28 exahash, which is 2 exahash away from their target, which they will be hitting by the end of the year. Their target of 30 exahash by the end of the year. So when you have a comparable company like Iron crushing their target, meeting it exactly, and then doing more stuff with that, and then you have Bitfarms just completely undershooting it by a massive amount, it feels really hard to go, this is a good report, because you know that they're just not going to be capable of reaching their amounts. And on that front, it's interesting because there are other companies such as Hive, where they didn't announce a massive gain in exahash in 2024, really, but they've had comparably better performance because from Bitfarms stock wise. And I think part of that is because Hive has not overpromised. Hive has said what they're going to do, and Hive has delivered on what they're doing, which is growing a little bit, not very much, and maintaining a strong hodl position and kind of just maintaining the level of exahash that they have. Whereas Bitfarms was like, we're gonna bunny rabbit all the way to the moon, and then they did a great job of not getting halfway to the moon, and then all of us going, what the heck? So I think that Bitfarms has made a major tactical error in the way they've handled the media presence, because I think announcing so soon that they were going to be hitting that 21 exahash, like if they had gone, we're going to hit 15 exahash and then hit 21 exahash, we would have all been like, holy moly, these guys are incredible. Or alternatively, if they announced they were going to hit 15 and they hit 12.8, we'd probably be like, okay, you're close, maybe not all the way, but they're going to have some more stuff happening later. Like they've made a very poor result from a considerable amount of growth. It's basically Bitfarms has successfully grown more than double in terms of exahash. Yet the fact that they announced that they were going to more than triple, we're all pretty much going, this is terrible. This is underperformance. They should have been doing better. They're not doing enough. Right. And because they framed it in that fashion, sentiment is going to be against them, because again, as I said, the management is over promised and under delivered. If in the future, I would advise them to manage that balance a lot better, so that you are not going to be promising a 21 exahash and delivering a 12. Right, like that's just I don't think that is acceptable, even if you are even though I understand that there are going to be extenuating circumstances. I think that they should have been hedging their bets in the first place, so that they didn't have extenuating circumstances be capable of preventing them to the extent that they are. So I think that overall, Bitfarms has kind of let us down in our expectations. I know personally reduced my exposure to Bitfarms because of kind of the way that they have been panning out. They're now announcing that they're going to be hitting their 21 exahash on a later date in 2025, but the fact that they've already missed it, I feel like I think that it's going to take a bit of time for us to regain trust in the management. And again, I don't think that this means that Bitfarms is actually going to be like performing poorly. I just think that it's something where I think this is a major contributing factor for them underperforming a lot of the other miners. I think in the long run, they will probably still do well, because they're still in Bitcoin. They're still exposed to Bitcoin. They're still a leverage play. So I think in the long run, they'll still be fine. But again, it's just they put themselves in a tough spot. And I think that that's really going to bite them in the butt.
Yeah, basically, I think this is the first monthly report that I would give Bitfarms less than a B or a B minus. I would give them a little bit more like generous than you. I would give them a C plus rather than a C or a C minus, just because I think there are some saving graces, or not complete saving graces, but there are some let's just say mitigating factors, right? So first of all, they appointed the independent director, and that was, I think, the last director that needed to be appointed. So with the appointment of that director, the whole like fixing the board and the thing that Riot was pushing, I think that is now over. So I think we can like fully put Riot behind, like the Riot situation behind Bitfarms. So I think that's a pretty good thing. In terms of the efficiency, I think 21 is not the best in the industry, but it's still rather low. Like it could be much worse. It could be slightly better, but it's not horrible. Like it's there are some miners that are still at like 25 or even like high 20s watts per terahash. So 21, and then they're upgrading like the T21 to the S21s, which will further improve their efficiency. In terms of operational hash rate, yeah, 12.8 is a little bit low and it's not great. But the saving grace for that is I think they said that they were gonna increase their operational hash rate by 4.5 exahash once they get the miners installed in the stronghold sites. So that's underway, and I think that I did some quick maths when they first announced it. I think they can get to at least 15 exahash by the end of the year if they're on schedule. So it's not like they're probably not going to finish the year with 12.8. I know they promised 21, but like it would be really bad if they just install 12.8 and then like there's nothing for December. I think there will be something for December. I think December they can get to like 15 and they can finish the year with 15. So still, that's 6 exahash off of what they promised. But at this point it is what it is. Now I think you already kind of implied that topic. But I'm gonna like explicitly ask the question, like, do you think we were wrong to bet so heavily on Bitfarms? And I know you said you did sell some, you did rotate some of your position. Can you give a percentage? I guess I can go first. I actually rotated about 25%, so about a quarter of my position of Bitfarms. I actually dumped. Many of them were actually I dumped at a loss because it was actually like it's still actually below the average price of what I paid on average, right? So I dumped 25% of my Bitfarms position at a loss, and I rotated it to Hive among a few other Bitcoin related proxies. That's what I did. But Tristan, can you comment on what you did? Because I know you just mentioned that you sold some Bitfarms. Can you give a percentage as well as to how much of your position you rotated out of Bitfarms?
I don't have the exact percentage at the top of my head, but it is probably around 30 to 40%, somewhere in that range. So it was a significant move out. And it moved into several different areas, some Hive. MSTX was another area that I wanted to build a position into as well for and that's part of that is just because of the fact that if you've been paying attention, you might have noticed that the miners are sometimes not performing as well as MicroStrategy. MicroStrategy seems to be tracking Bitcoin closer. So from my perspective, having my MSTX or MicroStrategy position was a good way to try and kind of take advantage of that gap where I could sell MSTX for a gain and rebuy a bunch of miners while they're still low before they shoot up. So that was kind of my thought process on that one. So, but Bitfarms is the Bitfarms amounts were spread out into MSTX and primarily MSTX, a little bit of Mara, and then as well Hive were the big ones. Those are the main things that I migrated it out into. So it's all still Bitcoin proxies. It's just different Bitcoin proxies.
And to be clear, you still have a lot of Bitfarms, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So
I may trim some more of that position before before I fully stop, but I think we're fairly close to where my exposure to it is not something that I'm as concerned about as before, right? Because I still think that it's going to perform well. It's just I think that the expectations that I had of the company have been it has not met those expectations. And so unfortunately, I think that having the level of exposure that I had to them was a risky endeavor for the long run when there's so many other Bitcoin miners that were, meeting or surpassing my expectations. So, for example, like Iron is just one that has been crushing it lately. And then CleanSpark and other ones have also been performing well. So it's just like difficult to justify sticking with Bitfarms that's underperforming when there's all these other ones that have been doing so much better. And it's not just that Bitfarms has been underperforming, it's that, like, stock price wise, it's that they've been underperforming deployment wise. And I think that's really the big problem for me. It's if their stock was just down, but they were still hitting at 21 exahash, I wouldn't be nearly as concerned. It's the fact that they are underperforming stock performance wise, and that they've been unable to meet their actual listed goals. That just speaks to a level of difficulty within their management to meet the expectations of the shareholders. And so I think on my front, I'm not looking to make that such a massive position that it was previously. So
yeah, I mean, I'm totally on the same page as you, because it used to be the largest single position in my accounts, and as of now, since I've rotated out of 25% of it, still have 75% of it, right? So the bulk of it I still have. So I know we have some Bitfarms fans on this channel because we've been talking about them the most out of all the miners. So at this point, I would imagine maybe some people would feel slightly betrayed that we would dare sell Bitfarms, especially I sold some at a loss even. But hey, like, it is what it is, right? Like what Tristan said, they have not been performing as well as we had originally hoped. And I did not feel comfortable having it be the largest position. Now, with that being said, it's still one of the largest positions in my portfolio. And yeah, I think if they just, operationally do better and deploy faster, I think they can catch up to the performance of other miners, or maybe even exceed that, right? So for the past few days, I've watched Bitfarms, at least for this week. They actually have been one of the better performing miners out of the entire playing field this week, if we just look at this week alone, right? But obviously, if we look at longer than that, it's not been performing well. But if we just look at this week, it's been pretty good comparatively speaking, right? It's actually gone up more.